Got a question asking from a landlord. Their tenant didn't pay rent for last month. It was November. And then the landlord gave a 3-day notice. And then the landlord's tenant texted the landlord stating that they're going to move out by the end of the week. Landlord's asking, what are their options? Hi, my name is Rob Wells. I'm the Landlord Warrior on TikTok and YouTube. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to our videos. Now, this is a very common scenario in a non-payment of rent situation where a tenant doesn't pay their rent on time or just hasn't paid their rent whatsoever. Maybe after the grace period ends, it may be in the middle of the month, it may be 1 month behind. It's kind of the similar fact patterns, okay? Where landlord then issues a 3-day notice to pay rent or quit. And then the tenant has two options. The term of the 3-day notice to pay rent or quit is what it sounds like. You either have 3 days, excluding weekends and holidays, so I say business days, to pay rent after you've been served the 3-day notice, or you have to quit. Quit just means that you just have to vacate and surrender the property to the landlord. Okay, it's just that's the legal terminology is quit, so they got to leave. Okay, and in this case, this landlord's tenant indicated that they were going to move out. They were going to give back the landlord possession of the property. So this landlord's asking, what are their options? Okay, well, if the tenant vacates within the 3-day period, the case is over. Okay, in fact, the landlord has actually won. Okay, there is no need to go to eviction court at that point because the tenant has complied with the landlord's notice. They vacated within the 3 business days. A common scenario that landlords run into all the time that I deal with is the tenant might need more than 3 business days to leave. Okay, let's just be real. 3 days is not a whole lot to do a lot of nothing with. Okay, so if someone's actually moving, basically tenants will usually ask, hey, can I have a few more days to leave? Or the landlord will ask me, hey, Rob, do we have to file the eviction on like the 4th day? Here's what I say, okay? It varies on a case-by-case basis. You need to always, consult with your landlord's counsel, your landlord's attorney, basically, to figure out what you should do in your factual situation. But some of the options the landlord have are, what I tell my landlords are, you can give your tenant the additional time to leave. You don't have to rush to the courthouse to file the case. I usually will tell landlords is if you see evidence that your tenant's actually moving out, give them a little bit of time to move out, okay? Because here's the deal. No one wants to go to court for 6 to 10 weeks. And that's kind of like the bare minimum terms that you're going to be in court. If you're in a court that's impacted by a lot of filings, that type of deal, it's going to take longer, okay? My point to landlords is don't be in a rush to go to the courthouse. Basically, if you see someone moving out, give them an opportunity to move out, okay? Because the worst case scenario is you just renotice your tenant another 3-day notice to pay rent, okay, if the deal falls apart. Second option that a landlord possibly could have is working out a payment arrangement with the tenant as to getting caught up, okay? I see this a lot. We've helped landlords in the past do this as well too. Hey, tenant might have lost a job or, something happened that, didn't get communicated, but now after getting the notice, there's an action plan and even tenant offers a partial payment as, a gesture of, hey, I'm going to try to make this right. Okay. That is always an option. Again, tell my landlords, statistically speaking, collecting on these judgments, it's, a lot of landlords will have a very hard time collecting a court money judgment. Okay, all a money judgment is a piece of paper that says, landlord, your tenant owes X amount of dollars. Okay, you got to go figure out how to collect it, and if you want to try to avoid court and the expense of going to court, possibly come into some type of agreement to catch up on the rent may be an option as well too. And obviously, if the tenant paid the rent within 3 days, the 3-day notice goes away. So there are kind of a few options besides going to court, but a landlord technically could go to court after the 3rd day. And if the tenant didn't move out completely or didn't pay the full amount on the 3-day notice, it subjects them to an eviction for unpaid rent in California. So Landlords, if you're running into a situation where your tenant's not paying rent and you need some help or guidance or through the process, feel free to reach out. We might be able to help out. Hit my profile down below. It'll go to our website and you can book a free case review at that point. Some questions will be asked to see if we're a good fit or not, but put your comments, questions down below. I'll answer them to the best of my ability. Until next time, folks, I'll talk to you then. Thanks.